Hello, welcome back. My name is Aladino, and together with my wife Maya, we're refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. Now, this is the second to last episode before moving the boat. My visa in the USA is expiring in just over a week, so by then we will be trucking the boat over to Canada. The goal here is to install portholes, install hatches, put in the drains for the cockpit, and I would really like to add a couple of layers of paint. So let's get right to it. We've got no time to waste right now. And while at it, I might as well glue on some more of our bulwark foam. Let's see how it fits. I've got the process down now. Place it on the boat. I trace the line to the decks, then I round over the back edge, then it's pretty much ready to go. I am inching closer with the bulwarks. I believe this one fits now. Now they're ready to be glued in. I will start with the transom, and maybe that's all I glue today because of the limited clamps. Same story. Yeah, pretty stoked. The transom piece is on! I was happy with the progress in the cockpit. It has come a long way in relatively short time, so I switched my focus and attention to the cabin top. It's definitely stressful to have a deadline and still so many things on the list until then, so yeah, pressure is on for real. So let's try to bring some sense or some explanation in what I'm trying to accomplish here in our last 10 days. Crazy. So highest priority is of course waterproofing still, and another thing which actually isn't waterproofing anymore but kind of the next step, and that is painting the cabin sides. It sounds crazy in the next 10 days, and I'm definitely crazy if I will make it, and I'm also crazy for attempting it also if I don't make it. But the reason for that is we want to put in the portholes. The portholes have like a bronze flange that extends further than the cabin sides. So it's really hard to sand a flat surface once there's something in the way. So ideally I would like to do that now. Paint now. It's also easier to apply paint with a roller on a flat surface instead of having to go around things or taping even more things. That's the goal, but it's a bit of a crazy goal. Now I am totally shutting off my perfectionist, so that already helps in achieving things faster. But yeah, so basically I'm fairing the cabin top, the cabin sides. I'm sanding some of the glass tape here on the deck just to tie it all together. Then the other thing that I did is I removed the peel ply here in the aft deck section. That is because I already faired that part of the aft deck. I'm gonna add some glass tape now around this perimeter, and then I can fair this whole section as one to bring it all up to the same height and level. So having to move the boat right now, it adds the deadline, which adds the stress and the pressure to get things as far along as we want things to be, for it to be waterproof and all. But on the other side, it's also exciting to change horizon and move onto, a different place, a different stage, it is definitely also exciting.
Meanwhile, I continued on a few pending tasks on the interior. When we truck the boat across the border into Canada, I've been doing all sorts of research, and there's all these like invasive species things. You can't bring untreated lumber across without some sort of certification or something. But it made me a little worried about all the Alaska yellow cedar that we have, which we cut down in a friend's yard, so we certainly don't have like any official documents. I wanted to sort of get this done. This is the last use that we have for the yellow cedar. This is the countertop in the head. So I'm just gluing the pieces down. Now, I certainly recognize that getting the interior finishing on right now is definitely not the main priority, considering everything else that we have going on. But I'm doing it for two reasons. I mean, first of all, I definitely do want to use up that wood so that we don't have to take it across the border as raw lumber. When it's all encased in goo and stuff, then there's less of an issue with it. But also, it's work that I know how to do and I can do fairly well, and so I can, spend my days working independently on that, whereas some other stuff I'm just not trained for, and I wouldn't be able to perform, to the levels that this boat is being built back to. There was also another reason. At the time, we were really concerned about housing, and we thought that we would actually probably need to somewhat live on the boat for a little bit because it was proving difficult to find housing. We weren't going to be able to do any of the varnishing or anything once we lived on the boat because it's really toxic stuff. You really cannot live in that space after you've used these chemicals. So I was also preparing for that. Fortunately, it didn't end up happening, but that was definitely a concern at the time.
I have completed the first step of sanding it all down. Next is another session of applying some fairing compound. Yeah, since we're out of Total Fair, unfortunately, I'm gonna use Total Boat Epoxy mixed with 410 West System filler. It does sag a little bit, so to compensate that, I will add 20% 406, which does make it a little less saggy, but you still get the sandable components. So that's what I will do only to the cabin sides though. There is a couple of low spots, especially where the eyebrow was mounted, all around the cabin top. Seems like there was a bit of an indentation. And if we had more time, I would do so on the cabin top as well. But my plan of procedure is to actually apply the high-build Total Boat epoxy primer on the cabin top, because the cabin top is closer And also it's a really big surface that will get non-skid, so hopefully it's also imperfections are less visible. I'm super happy how the fairing compound went on, so now I'm gonna switch my attention back to the cockpit again. So here I'm applying fiberglass tape, that is on the corners, and that is to seal the end grain of the plywood and just have a very uniform layer of fiberglass protecting everything. When I glassed over the decks, it's harder to bend down heavy-duty fiberglass cloth over edges, so that is why I'm doing this now afterwards. Done with the glassing. So I actually wanted to say something about peel ply. I don't want to advertise for peel ply too much because tomorrow it's in the garbage. Where it's handy, and this is one of those scenarios. I'm just wrapping glass around the corners now. I did a tiny scarf from both sides to allow for the glass, and then I will sand this surface flat, and this surface flat, and that should leave me with extra glass in the corner, and then along with some fairing. Now, glass of this gauge doesn't like to conform too much to a radius. Peel ply really helps here because it has a greater surface tension than the glass. It kind of helps keep it down. Of course, I still recommend monitoring. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So next step, routering the edges, then sanding it all, and the best part is going to be putting the epoxy on this because these are really like whirly, swirly, knotted pieces of wood. And this looks really cool when you've got a coat of epoxy on it. So I cannot wait. Trust me, it will be incredible and transformative.
Come follow the light, my darling. One more kiss before I fly, and I'm gonna go where you go. Gonna stay up all night, leave the world outside. So when you open your eyes in the morning, and I'm not in the bed you lie, I want you to know what I know. Our love will be alright.
I think before I start sanding this, we're gonna do something that I've anticipated for so long that's going to make the biggest difference, which is
The chart table.
The chart table.
Yeah, you've done such an incredible job on it.
Thank you. I am
Let's
very
put it in
proud of the
place.
finish. There's like 15 layers of goo on that thing now.
Hey, 15 layers of luxury chemicals.
Luxury goo. Don't scratch it.
It is heavy.
Gonna follow the light, my darling.
So pretty.
Nice, hey? It's beautiful. Yes, as you can see, I also have access from here because these crossbars are removable. So in the future, that's how we will get the starter battery in and out of here, and how I will work on those things once it is permanently installed. But for now, I prefer having it removable just for a little moment. And install these threaded inserts. So now there we should have holes that screws go through, and here we have the threaded inserts that the screws grab into.
And sitting here and looking up like this with all the beams, looks pretty good. We got some good beams.
it's working.
Looks great.
It's pretty good for permanent,
Wow, I
for
love
temporary.
it. I love it so much.
Yeah, let's put the drawers in.
Yeah.
Let's see it complete.
Totally.
I'm gonna go where you go. Gonna stay up all night. Leave the world outside. Leave the world outside.
All right, here we are. I brought the cushion in just for the full effect. I love this countertop. I think it's so beautiful. I love how it blends with the rest of the galley, and yeah, I really like it. Now, I have to admit, the one thing that did seem a bit jarring to me is actually this corner. I don't think I like this. I think I'm gonna paint this white. I think it would look fine if this corner matched, but because it doesn't, it seems like weirdly placed, and I really want the eye to go to this, and instead it's being drawn to this somewhat weirdly placed thing. So this I think I'll paint white, but other than that, I think it looks really, really nice. And obviously I'll leave this one. I like this one. Aladino also did an amazing job at building the engine cover. And so now I'm going to select some wood for the engine cover also, glue that down, put at least one coat of epoxy on it.
Go on.
It's really nice to see the wood come alive as soon as you apply a finish to it, and I find that the depth and the grain just deepens as the epoxy slowly seeps in, because it is a lot more viscous than regular varnishes that you might use, so it takes a moment for that full depth to reveal itself. But I'm really happy. This wood has a lot of character. I think in the head it's going to really bring a lot of life and movement to the space, so I really like it. We are still really undecided on the layout of the head. We've gone through so many design iterations. I think the most design iterations of any space on the boat, because most spaces we haven't actually changed the design too much, the layout, we've just sort of updated all the components, but the head is really going to see quite a redesign.
Meanwhile, up on the boat, I continued fairing.
So my next project, once again, in using up all the AYC before we cross the border, is to pick out some wood for the engine room cover, and this will be a continuation of the galley counter, so it really should match. So I'm really trying to choose pieces that are going to fit in with the rest of the galley counters so that it's all a nice, smooth and seamless area. Good morning. Very early today, much earlier than normal. I've been really stressed about the move and all of the things that we have to organize for that, and I've been really struggling to sleep, which is not normal for me. But I'm going to unveil the engine cover piece that I worked on yesterday, take all the clamps off, and I will sand that. The head countertop is looking good. I love when the epoxy soaks in and it just creates this gorgeous depth to the wood. It's really beautiful. I love this stuff. It's so swirly and gorgeous. So yeah, let's get to it.
So deep in love.
time for an update. Now I have, a fairly nice surface. Unfortunately, there is always a few spots that still need touching up. The few Swiss jeans that I have just don't allow me to skip that. So I will mix up some more fairing compound. I will try fast or medium hardener, and I will just touch up those areas that are visibly below where the surface has to be, so that hopefully I can fair those in. Right now I was using 100 grit because it really is just about dialing in the rough stage. After that little bit of extra fairing that is missing, my hopes are to start applying a high build primer over the top and the sides. And when that has cured in 1 or 2 days, then I want to sand it all again with a finer grit. So I'm actually using this thing. It hooks up to the vacuum. It has a bit of a bigger pad. Yeah, it's working really nicely. And a couple of other things. So when we're outside, the cockpit is going to be exposed. That means that I would ideally want to install drains into the gutters of the lazarettes, because otherwise those are just going to fill with water. Yes, I am anticipating water in Canada. So also same with the cockpit well, usually that one drains out, but right now it would drain right into the engine room. So I have to install the hardware, I have to connect the hoses and make it drain overboard. And then there is like the mast opening, but that's fairly simple. You just duct tape a bucket onto it, or put a piece of plywood over top and tie it down. We also have the openings here for the prisms. I am thinking of maybe just fairing over it for now, and I'll have to do some archaeological excavations later. And then when everything is primed and hopefully painted, then I'm starting to install the teak for the hatches, put some hardware in so they don't fly off on the highway first thing. Lots to do.
I can tell you why the sky is blue. I can tell you why the sun sets in the west.
I might be able to sand the epoxy that I added here, but I thought why not continue right with the next step, and that is high build epoxy primer. So I'm gonna remove everything from the cabin top, mix a large batch. We're also on the last container there. See how far it gets us, but I should be able to do at least 1 coat.
It must be love. Well, it must be love. Well, it must be love. Oh, yeah.
What a marathon it was to sand all of this. Working really hard here. Applying primer is a huge moment because that means I've got the fairing close enough that there is only pinholes left and only very minimal unevenness that the high build primer will take care of. The primer is softer than the fairing, so the sanding is getting easier and you're using less harsh grit, so we are getting closer and closer to that paint.
It must be love. It must be love. It must be love. It must be love. It must be love.
I like this transformation here quite a lot. Come up here!
I intend to.
Come look at what I've done.
I am excited to. Wow! You primed!
No more Shrek boat.
Holy! Wait, I didn't know that you were this far along.
Yes.
I mean, you just put on that second coat of fairing so recently.
And then I fared heckin' hard.
Wow! Dean! That's awesome!
Totally. I'm letting it cure one more day, and then I have another fun day of sanding it. But hopefully it will be easier and softer.
Valentino, this is amazing.
Yeah, I hope that the paint will be okay, because this is very much the quick version.
It's good. It looks really good.
Totally, doesn't it? Yeah.
Wow. I've been holed up inside making an episode all day, but I just finished, so now I'm out here again.
What are you up to?
I'm gonna continue on the countertops.
Nice.
This is really great. So we might
Indeed.
even be able to get paint on before.
That's my
the
hope.
move?
That's my hope.
Oh, that's really good.
Not
That's
only
really, really
paint, but 3 layers of paint, and then installing the portholes. So
good.
it's gonna take a while, but
Wow.
I'm on it.
You're incredible. You're a force of nature.
Thank you.
It's really amazing. So, okay. Dear viewers at home, I have lost the plot. I don't even know where we're at anymore. There's so much going on. Progress is happening so quickly right now. I still have to keep up with the videos. I'm not even sure where we're at in videos right now, but I think we've collected enough footage to make an episode. I think we're ending the episode here. But let's do a little bit of a recap of everything that has happened, because the boat is just changing so drastically in the past few days. Definitely the biggest visible change is the primer on the cabin top, which is a really exciting step towards a glimpse of the future boat that we will sail. But a lot of other things have happened in this episode, of course. The chart table and the drawers on the interior are another really big aesthetic change, and this is sort of an example of all these disparate components that we've spent so long working on, and you've seen them progress throughout the episodes in the paint room and here and there all around the workshop, but never installed in place on the boat. And so it's really, really nice to see that final effect start to come together, see some reward for the work that we've done. We also have new countertops for the head and the engine room in progress. We have new bulwarks in the cockpit, new fiberglass in the cockpit, making sure that everything is all watertight. Next week we will work on drains in the cockpit and fresh paint on the fresh primer and more interior finishing, but most importantly we have to pack up the entire workshop. We have to fit it into the boat, and we have to do that all on time before the truck comes. So the next episode is really the last one before the truck shows up, and it's going to be hectic. My dad is actually going to come and help us, which is an absolute thank you, Dad, because I think it would be really hard to do just the two of us, quite frankly. So a little bit of help at this stage is definitely appreciated, and especially help from somebody who really knows what they're doing. So it's really great to have my dad on board to help us. The plan is we will send the boat out, and we are not going to be following behind it. It is going to make its journey up to Canada on its own. It's going to be settled into its new spot on its own. Hopefully it all goes smoothly. We're going to stay behind and clean up the workshop, clear out where we've been living, say goodbye to our friends that we have made here, and just get ready to move up to Canada. I'm glad we have that bit of buffer time that we've worked in based on our visa deadlines. And we have actually talked a bit about some different plans, maybe not continuing with the refit immediately, maybe taking a bit of a break once the boat is in Canada and actually going to Europe. Because we still have Magic Carpet 1, we need to arrange her sail, and maybe just have like a bit of breathing room and a bit of reminder why we're doing all this, maybe a little bit of exploration and like joy on the water. Sounds good. So that might be what we end up doing. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate the support. We definitely couldn't do this without you. And thank you, as always, for all of the comments. Thank you especially for the comments on last week's episode, where I did share a little bit more of the behind the scenes of, this project is hard and it's stressful. I think that's a surprise to no one, but it can take a toll. So I showed a little bit of that toll and got a lot of really beautiful supportive comments from people who have gone through similar things. I think what really struck me is how the people who have done refits, large refits before, just knew exactly what was going on. And I think that says a lot about sort of the nature of this work and the nature of being a person, being a human being. So anyway, thank you for those insights. Extra big thank you to our patrons for making this all possible. We do post real-time updates on Patreon every Tuesday. So if you're really curious what is going on in real time, then you can take a look there. Tuesdays or Wednesdays, the posting date's a bit flexible, but every week at least there will be a real-time update. Of course, these videos are not in real time. I literally would not be able to do that. A huge thank you to the names now appearing on screen for always going the extra mile to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being produced. And as always, we'll see you next Friday. It's going to be a big one.